The question of where to find good quality used frames without having to pay a lot of money came up in the discussions, and I decided to show you what you can find, especially if you go beyond just eBay. The problem with eBay is that they are now required by law to charge sales taxes on used items sold at a loss. So they are charging you a tax on your losses. And last time I sold something, I had to pay a sales tax for the second time on something that I wasn't even making any money on selling, and the buyer in California was required to also pay a sales tax to the government via eBay. But there are much better places, so I just went into Google and I typed in this classic Moulton bicycle for sale. And I know there are these older Moulton frames floating around, which in my opinion are an absolute bargain. And this is just one of the things that came up. Now this one is in the United Kingdom. I don't know if you can leave a US version or not. But even, I mean, look at the prices, even for importing it in. You look at a full old Moulton bicycle from the 60s to the 70s, 80 British pounds. Check this out. This is still in good condition. This is not even rust, this is dirt. If you take a closer look, it's not rust, it's just dirt. Still has everything, the old pedal, old seat. I mean, if I bought it, I would just completely rebuild it. But it's a testimony to the quality of this original steel frame, just how long it has lasted. 50, 60 years, and it's still going strong. 80 British pounds, how much is that? Here we go, it's $100. $100. And as far as importing them in, according to this website, imports from the UK get charged 6.5%, but I think you have to reach a minimum amount. I know when I travel and I return to the US, I would have to bring in something in excess of $1,000 to even require a duty. So I doubt that you would even have to pay any kind of duty on it. You would have to pay for a decent boxing job and delivery, so maybe $200 for that. In an extreme situation, maybe $300. I doubt that it would cost that much. I would definitely color match the cables, color match these wire ties, and possibly run the cable a little better at the bottom. Definitely red cables over the red frame. And there are two ways of renovating these frames. Either you deep clean it, which means shampooing it and then using the clay on it. You may want to watch some car detailing videos on what you need to get and how to do it. I myself have an old detailing video. That's not really a restoration video, but just a detailing video. I'm going to put the link to that below. But one restoration is just to keep the original frame, absolutely remove with clay, if that doesn't work, with very fine sandpaper, very precisely, the areas that have stains having eaten themselves into the clear coat or into the paint itself. So long that you don't have any significant rust that would compromise the quality or integrity of the frame, I think you are okay. And I don't see that. This is mostly dirt, there is paint damage, and if you really clean it up, removing all the stains and all the rust, then you can put 2 or 3 clear coats on it yourself, or you can hire a professional paint job to do it. It's going to look beautiful, but it will have an antique feel to it. Now, the other way of doing the restoration is to just completely strip the paint. That would mean taking a heat gun and meticulously scraping off every piece until you get to the metal. And then you can repaint with whatever color you want. But this is a sensational deal, especially if you want to do an electric conversion. You can use the principles in my book. I wrote about the Brompton frame that I worked on, but you can use those same ideas on this frame as well. Even the same motor, is just when you get the kit from Green, you would have to tell them that it's a different wheel size that you are working with. They already know this frame, but this is a proper 16-inch rim. That means 305 millimeters instead of the Brompton's awkward 349. And that means it's also a standard width. It can take a standard hub motor, standard width, which is not going to be that bulky. I think you could fit a 400 watt motor into this, and I think that's plenty. I also have seen conversions here of a belt drive, which is very easily done here because you don't have a triangle. There is nothing to brake. The way the rear is suspended is just asking for a belt drive conversion, which you can easily do. See, there is no frame, there's nothing to brake. If you have a non-braking Gates belt system, you can just pop it on and that's it. What an amazing way to start for $100. Now there was another thing I saw here, $50 for just the frame. In my case, I would strip everything out of it anyway, so this would be my choice. $50, $150 for shipping, insurance and everything at the most. And since you are always shipping the frame, it's going to weigh less, it's going to be less complicated, less likely that anything would break, and that's it. The only thing is that I would also want to replace the springs that they have in the suspension. This is probably the original 50 or 60-year-old springs. But look at how this is built. It's built like a tank. I think this is welded together. It's not even brazed, and welding is much stronger, and it is steel. So this thing is built like a tank. You can, if you buy a frame like this for $50, you can put in your own wheels, your own drivetrain, brakes, and the steering and the seat posts, and build something beautiful. Obviously, if you want to put in high-end components, it's going to run several $1,000s to actually rebuild it, but it's not going to be as expensive as a new one. And you can build something that's completely unique, something that's completely yours. What an amazing frame. In-frame cabling for $50. I mean, 50 British pounds, okay. 50 British pounds is $60. I would say if you can't afford $60 for a quality frame, then you probably don't want to get into the hobby of high-end cyclings. But then not everybody wants to completely rebuild the frame. If you want something that doesn't give you much of a headache, then you can get one of the more expensive ones already with a decent configuration. They already have the wheels, the drivetrain. All you need to do with one of these is really just to deep clean them, maybe put on a couple of clear coats, which is fairly easy to do. Clear coats are forgiving because if you overspray, it doesn't get any color. If you try to repaint it or just respray it with the same blue, and if you overspray, it's gonna stain everything. But the clear coat is much more forgiving for that. And I would just hand polish between layers. You can also just ride it like this for a while, and then when you have more money, then maybe upgrade the drivetrain or get new wheels. Definitely I would get new seats, although this is a historic antique piece. And if you start putting in new pieces like modern parts for an upgrade, then it's gonna reduce the collectible value of it. So it's up to you which way you want to go, but I personally would totally modernize it. Even put on hydraulic brakes if I could. I'm not sure if that would work over here. There is such a thing as a hydraulic grip brake that is a single pin suspension. It is pretty expensive. It's close to $300. That would not be a cheap upgrade, that's for sure. If you do an electric, then there you would have electronic braking, in which case you don't even need to worry about hydraulics. This is for 160 British pounds. And you see there's no significant rust here. It's just more like surface dirt. And I think this metallic blue color would be pretty nice if it was really, really cleaned up and properly detailed, like I show you in my other video. And this is all original. I don't think these people have replaced anything. This is what they have had from how long? 1960s. This thing is as old as I am. Amazing. For 160, that's $200. 200 for another 200 for packing and insurance and shipping. And you got yourself a Moulton an Alex Moulton for $400. And if you're in the UK or even in some nearby European country like Denmark or Germany, you can just take the train up there and pick it up. You don't need to worry about boxing and insuring anything. You can ride it home. And that's what I would do. Those of you guys who live in Northwestern Europe, you are really lucky because you have some amazing opportunities. Here is an electric space frame. Even that is a pretty good deal. I personally would prefer to get my own instead of buying somebody else's electric conversion. And this is it's a kit, it's weaker. What I talk about in my book is to get a system that's really maxed out, an open system, something that's not speed limited to 20 miles an hour. So this is not my choice. But then if you don't want to do your own conversion and you want a Moulton frame, it's not a bad price. $2,500, $3,100 US. It's not a bad price. Now, this was just one website. If you just search directly on the internet, you have a bunch of opportunities, really. I mean, some of them are on eBay. And what's on eBay is really not bad. 1,100 British pounds. Not bad. $1,400 for a good condition Moulton frame, space frame. This is in very good condition. I see some dirt. It does not seem like rust. Yeah, there is some wear and tear on this thing. But this is an easy electric brake upgrade in the front because of the V-brake attachment. That's about $100, could do it. Same thing in the rear. These are standard sizes. You have 20-inch rims, standard width. Any hub could go in there. Shimano or Rolf, although the Rolf needs an adapter for the cables. In this case, if you wanted to do a cable or a belt drive upgrade, that would have to be a separable belt drive for $500. Unfortunately, because you do have a rear triangle. I wish they stuck with that simple dropout. But a space frame for this little money is not bad. It's not bad at all. You do have the adjustable air bubble suspension in the rear. That's probably the biggest plus of this bike, or one of the biggest pluses. So you can get a lot even on eBay, but I'm personally not too crazy about them. There are many other websites that also sell stuff. Used, I'm talking about used. You can also switch over to images. That is also an interesting way to browse because you already see what you're getting. Bicycle hub. A lot of new things have also come up in this search. And I think the best deals are definitely these. There's these very old ones. So I just wanted to point out that you have options. You can go way beyond eBay if you want a used frame. And there are so many excellent frames out there. I mean, I'm just looking at one after the other. Obviously, what's being unloaded onto the market for the most part is the 60s, 70s classic Moulton, which are still excellent frames. They are not foldable or separable. So it's not going to be as compact as the separable frame Moultons, but they still have small wheels. And they are the standard size of a normal size bicycle and can haul an awful lot, as you can see over here. Let's look at what you would get for a Brompton. Used Brompton bike for sale. Unfortunately, I'm still in Budapest, so I'm getting it in Hungarian currency, which is more difficult to understand. This is like 1,300, I guess. None of these bicycle frames depreciate much. Not the Brompton, not the Moulton, not the Birdy, not any of them. If you're buying from eBay, then depending upon the state where you live, you may be required to pay a heavy tax, but not all states are like that. Unfortunately, New York State is merciless. So here we go with the same company, but now this is the Brompton frame. Pretty damn expensive. But hey, here is one for 500 British pounds. Oh, that's just $600. Not bad. If you can get something like this for $600, it's in very good condition. There's hardly a scratch on this thing. Wow, that's totally good deal. way better as a starting point, or way more advantageous than to buy a new one. Especially if you want to max it out, you can follow the configuration in my book to the fullest, or just a part of it, what you want. I described how to max out the speed, how to max out the comfort, and how to electrify it as powerfully as possible, not with 250 watts. I mean, you can do 250 watts if you want to. I have done 700. So I like speed and power, even on the Brompton. Let's see the Birdy. Do they have Birdy? They have Birdy. If you watched my earlier videos on this trip, I came upon a used Birdy frame for $300 in Bangkok last year. I'm not ready for a new project right now, so I did not get it. It was sort of like this. This is much more expensive, like $600, but still much cheaper than getting a new one. I'm telling you, starting with a used frame that is in good condition, if you're building your own project, like you want to max out the speed, you want to have custom wheels and everything, then it's better to start with a used quality frame, because then you're not spending much money on the frame and the rest of it is going to be replaced anyway. Personally, I would replace the wheels, the drivetrain, and definitely hydraulic brakes on it. The frame is good to go. It has some scratches on it. It's really not a big deal. And this company is not eBay. I don't think you have to pay any kind of a duty or tax on it. All right, this is all I have to say about used bikes. I would say if you want to catch a really good deal, you may have to wait and really look around and hunt around for a number of months before you find something you really like. But it's totally worth looking, because there are bargains on the web, not just eBay, but outside of eBay as well. All you need to do is look.
I'll be back.